you were once like 240 plus pounds, man. And you're kind of
Oh,
in this,
wow. You have done your research.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. I mean, you were like in this mindset of like blaming other people, making excuses why life didn't turn out how you wanted it. I mean, what was that breaking point for you that made you decide to kind of make that lifestyle change?
It truly, I listen to a lot of David Goggins, and he talks about,
Come on.
the man in the mirror. And it for me, it was literally looking in the mirror one morning, and I had this at the time, this digital camera, and I was like, I'm tired of this. And I didn't know what it would end up being, but I was just fed up with just being tired of being tired,
Yeah.
And I literally one morning, I took the camera out, snapped the photos, and said, this is the end of this. And which I had my ups and downs along the way, as with anything, but
Sure.
I just decided.
James, you're a professional MMA fighter. You're a husband. You're a full-time nurse. Thank you for what you do, man. And thank you for your time. I so appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time as well.
I like to go back with my shows. Like, where did you grow up? What was childhood like for you?
I grew up right here in Flowood, which is right outside of Jackson, Mississippi. My dad, the hardest worker I've ever known to this day. He's an entrepreneur. He had his own trucking company. So I grew up literally with him on the road, seeing the country, sleeping at, in at truck stops and things like that. So I just grew up just seeing him just be the person that he would want me to be today. And hopefully I'm in some form or another achieving that. Unfortunately, I lost him at 11. But he at least laid a good foundation for me to keep whatever I'm doing in life to do my absolute best at it. So
he sounds like an amazing man, and what a cool adventure
absolutely.
and cool memories, man.
Absolutely. We can go down this rabbit hole, and I can talk all day about him. Just the some of the defining moments where he just kind of made me be who I am today, and I didn't realize it in the moment. And but just his mindset and just his will to work till the job's done, not till you're tired, but till the job's done. So so I try to replicate that in the nursing world, in the MMA world, jiu-jitsu world. I still try to live to that same creed.
Yeah, man. I was doing some research on it. You were once like 240 plus pounds, man. And you're kind of
Oh,
in this,
wow. You have done your research.
Yeah, right. I mean, you were like in this mindset of like blaming other people, making excuses why life didn't turn out how you wanted it. I mean, what was that breaking point for you that made you decide to kind of make that lifestyle change?
It truly, I listen to a lot of David Goggins, and he talks about,
come on,
the man in the mirror. And it for me, it was literally looking in the mirror one morning, and I had this at the time, this digital camera, and I was like, I'm tired of this. And I didn't know what it would end up being, but I was just fed up with just being tired of being tired,
Yeah.
And I literally one morning, I took the camera out, snapped the photos, and said, this is the end of this. And which I had my ups and downs along the way, as with anything, but I just decided, I was like, and so I went and I knew nothing about martial arts. I went and bought a sauna suit in the middle of July, August here, sometime in that time frame.
Yeah.
100 degrees outside. I went and jogged. Well, I went and tried to jog 2 miles, and I just, and the rest is history. At the same time, a friend of mine, we were like, oh, I've never done martial arts. I was like, man, we should try it. I need to get back in shape anyway. And I ended up finding a gym right down the street that my brother was at the time. And I joined, and no one else did. And here we are, gym owner and, pro career later.
Come on, man. That is amazing, dude. When you told your friends and your family, like, hey, I'm going to go fight in a cage, like, what was their reaction?
Especially, so this was about, it wasn't nearly as mainstream. Mixed martial arts wasn't nearly as mainstream as it is now.
Yeah.
So I kid you not, my first MMA fight, which I was amateur, I think it was I think it was 2011, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
My mom came to the fight and she legit thought I was going to be breaking boards.
Okay.
And so that's how much of an idea they had about what I was actually doing. And
yeah.
And I literally, I think I got hit one time in this fight, and man, I did a fairly good job of, fighting the guy, and hats off to him. Nothing against him, but it's my first fight. And I think I got hit one time, and the only thing my mom could remember is him hitting me one time.
Oh no.
Because she was just, she's a mom, and so she thought I was breaking boards, and when she saw that happen, that's all it was. But now my family, they don't miss a fight. Like my mom has been at, man, I don't know how many. I guess I've had about 20 or right under 20 total fights, and she hasn't missed one. She's my family, they are super supportive. My friends around me are always there, and that means a lot to us as fighters.
Yeah. Kind of going down that same path there. What's your favorite thing about being a fighter? And then what's the hardest thing about being a fighter?
Favorite thing now about being a fighter, and I tell my guys at the gym, I don't consider myself old. I consider myself still, I still got a little left in the tank, but
sure.
But so now I'm the old guy at the gym, and it's very cool looking back for when I was just starting out. I think I started at 22, and I was a young guy and the older guys, and I was like, how does he do this or that? Or like, he can come in here after being out a week and just like he never, those types of things. And so I really enjoy seeing like that change in my role at the gym. Like, guys come to me about diets and what you do, or what's your thing about performance? Like I just finished up here. Like, what's your performance training regimen? And, what's your way of cutting weight? Versus like, it's cool to see that I'm that guy now versus, someone paid it for me back in the day when I was like, I don't know how do you get to 170 or so that's one of the coolest things right now for me is just seeing that change over the years. I guess the biggest negative is, I'm, like I said in the beginning, when I commit to something, I'm either in or out. I'm not into it halfway or kind of do this. Like even when I had to finish nursing school, I took off for the most part with MMA just because I'm gonna do good at one of them, not both. Like, so I took off for a year, finished nursing school, even though I took the long route to finish it. But now when I'm in fight camps and things like that, or even in general, I guess, because it's always been the same. The biggest thing I hate is the social time that I miss with family and friends. And, it's, like even watching fights on the weekends, like, nah, man, I'm gonna take this time to go ahead and go to bed. I got to get up tomorrow morning at 5 and go run hill sprints or whatever. So, and truly people outside of the circle that does it, they don't, or I feel they don't truly understand what gets like you to fight night.
Right.
There's always the bumps and bruises, the like tweak something or another that you got to kind of manage and like to get to fight night. Fight night is like the easy part of all of it, like the weight cuts. And so missing out on those things, which just comes with the territory, the more you do, the more you have to give. But there's been a lot of things that I just had to say no to just because, I've chosen my path and I want to be my absolute fight night, win, lose, draw. I want to know that every moment that I could have used getting ready for it, I did. And so that's probably the biggest kind of like, that sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, with every fighter loses. And so when you lose, like, how do you handle that? Do you want to get back in the gym right away? Or do you like, I want to go review the tape, or do you take a little break?
Well, over the years, it's changed.
Okay.
For me right now, what I've tried to do is figure out why I wasn't what I was supposed to be that night of the fight. What was the reason? And hats off to my last opponent, Jaleel Willis. Man, I spoke to him directly, so nothing I'm saying is something new to him. Like I tell people, I felt the best I've ever felt in a fight. Like the absolute physically, just mentally, I felt great. But it was something he had that I couldn't figure out in the fight. And I went directly to the source. I was like, and I talked to him, and we figured out what that something was. And so I do a lot of like reviewing, like what was the reason I felt great. It wasn't like a out of shape thing, or wasn't a bad cut. Like, why did I still lose the fight? And so I went to him, and he pointed out some things and things he saw in the moment, and we've talked some more. I'm actually going to go up and train with him with the COVID stuff. It just hasn't been able to work out to where I actually go train with him up there. But I go back and review, like, one mistake is fool me once, but I don't want to get fooled by the same thing twice. And so I go back and figure out what's the reason, and make sure at the very least that doesn't happen again.
Right.
Versus back in the past, I was just like, it's a loss. The guy was better. On to the next. But now I review, which, I mean, truly, had COVID not been going on, I would have wanted to go ahead and get rid of that loss, get that loss off my, I don't want my last talk. Like, how'd your last fight go? It's like, it was a loss. Yeah. It's just not fun to say that. So I would have wanted to get back at it. But I use this time to correct some holes in my game that I saw, and that my coach saw, and that my opponent saw. So a lot of review and Ortega. I think about Ortega. He took kind of the same thing. He took off some time, and he came back. He was like, "Who is that? That's not the same Ortega that fought last. Totally. That's a whole different fighter." So it's my goal to be every fight a different fighter. Like, watch all the tape you want. I'm not that guy anymore. Yeah. Win or lose.
Right. Yep. Like I mentioned, you're a full-time nurse. You wake up pretty early, like myself. I'm up 4 a.m. 6 days a week. Yeah. What things do you do in the morning to kind of prep your day to be successful?
Starting off, up at 4, I've started to focus a lot more on mobility and getting the body prepped to go. Going hard is nice. But a lot of my workouts consist of just warming up the body, just doing some movement, stretching, moving around, not necessarily clanging and banging the whole time. So I get up, plan out my day. This is the perfect day, and plan out. Even I kind of do a plan B kind of day now, like just preparation. I do a lot more prep when I get up in the morning. When I'm in the morning, if anyone knows me, they get a lot of texts and a lot of emails 4:30 a.m. because that's when my brain is thinking, and I'm getting prepared mentally for the day. Yeah. And then I hit up the gym. Some days are more of a performance like today was, and some days I just get up and go in our exercise room at the house, and I just turn on some music and just move around, just stretch and just breathe. Because I feel like I control the morning. The morning is mine. Anything after I get at work, or it's not always. It's more of sometimes a reaction than being proactive about it. I can proactively make my morning what I want it to be. Yeah. Once I get at work, XYZ happens, and now I'm at work late. Maybe I don't get to training on time or things like that. So I try to get mentally prepared and do as much as I can that morning to make sure I can have my day go as smooth as possible.
Yeah, man, it's so good, dude. I love that. And I'm a 4 a.m. club member as well, man. So I think that's awesome when I can meet another fellow person who wakes up at 4 a.m., which we're rare. That's for sure.
No doubt. No doubt.
You have this awesome fight coming up March 27th against Wesley Golden at Empire FC 10. A lot of his losses have come via submission, and all of your wins have come via submission. Like, how do you see this fight playing out, man?
Well, as it goes, I'm prepared to go anywhere with the fight, but if it's always funny when I hear that, and I have to think about it sometimes too. I consider myself a striker,
right?
But if you ask me, I'll say, yeah, I'm a striker, but all my wins have came with exception of no, that was my amateur fight. Yeah, all my wins have came by submission. So for whatever reason, it just somehow tends to make it there. And obviously just, matchup to matchup, you see the obvious, but
yeah,
I enjoy standing and just, putting fist to face.
Yeah.
That's fun to me.
Yeah.
But sometimes that doesn't happen, and you just got to go, where you need to take the fight, and I'm very okay with that. One thing he's a gamer. Like he's throwing up or down, win or lose. He's gonna throw.
Yeah.
And so I really look forward to it. I'm thankful that he's actually a fill-in. This is my third opponent in this camp. So
oh my gosh.
So yeah. When you're getting close to a fight date and you don't have an opponent, that messes with your mind too. So I'm very thankful to have an opponent.
Right.
In that sense.
Yikes, man. And I also, like I said, doing some research on it. Your wife wrote a book called Ladybug Run, which is a awesome book, by the way. It sounds like it's
Thank
amazing.
you.
But for those who don't know, what's this book about, man?
So it's Ladybug Run. She's a runner. She's an ultra marathoner. She's done 100-miler, and she wants to do more. And I jokingly say with her, I was out there too with you every minute, but I was also under a tent, watching her do it. I wasn't the one running. And what's more impressive is that it was 100-mile loop. So she ran 100-mile loop, not just. So she's very impressive, and so she's a runner, and her book is about facing adversity.
Okay.
That's one thing that she and I get each other. Like, she has her running, I have my martial arts, but we both get like, no run is going to be exactly the same. No fight is the same. No camp is the same. And her book basically deals with Ladybug Lulu, which is her nickname. The Ladybug has to go out and face adversity and overcome those things, and has some friends along the way who helps her out. And I don't want to ruin the ending. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but has to overcome some adversity and figure out a way to get the job done.
Yeah.
Because I remember in Laura, my wife, I was about to say girlfriend. I'm still not quite used to the wife phrase. I remember in her 100-miler, she faced some adversity at, I think, 79 miles, where basically, and she won't ever say this, I'm glad to say it for her, Achilles, both of them just said, we're done. And like, not once did she ever like, I may have to stop. Like she gritted her teeth and just like got out there and kept, if she had to walk, she walked. If she could jog, she jogged. But not once was it ever spoken like, I may not make it. It was just a matter of how she's going to get it done.
Yeah.
And that's what the book is about, just getting the job done. And she believes in me, and she makes it easy for me. Like I can't tell you how many times I've came home like beat up and she just, food's already ready. I just got to go. All I got to do is get myself bathed and eat.
Yeah.
And so she's a trooper. She has stuck with me and makes my life a lot easier. And she's a nurse. Don't let me forget that.
Sure.
I work here at Mississippi Sports Medicine, which is how I met her. She went off, and she's a massage therapist, and she went off and decided to do that full time, but she kind of came full circle and works back in surgery back here at Mississippi Sports Medicine. And like she's an awesome woman. She lives the way that I would have our children live. She's not just out there telling you what to do. She's out there doing it.
Yep.
And she's already working on which will be her second book, but technically it's her third book, but she's going to bring it out next. So she's already working on the next book. I hear there might be a figure 4 in the book.
Okay.
We'll see how that goes. There may be a new character introduced, but she's an awesome woman, and she makes fighting and things so much easier. Because I don't have to fight at the gym, then come home and fight at home because I was at training too long or something,
Yeah.
And I know other fighters and whatnot get that. Like you won't, our coach says, our head coach, Johnny Little, he says, you know, have your affairs in order when you start fight camp. Like, don't start a fight camp and have something left out there that, you know, is going to cause an issue or throw you off what your goal is. And she makes it easy on me. I cannot say enough about her.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. What's the best place for folks to follow you and connect with you on and social media and things like that?
The_figure_4, the number 4, the figure 4 on Instagram, just James Horne on Facebook. Then you have our gym, Black Sails MMA. Just type that in on Instagram or Facebook. Working on a YouTube channel for our gym. I do all that kind of stuff myself, so I'm not always the most versed in getting the ins and outs and the legal music to have on there, all those types of things.
Yeah.
But the figure 4 on Instagram is probably the easiest way to keep up with me and just kind of see what I'm up to.
Right on, man. Wanted to give you an opportunity to just give a shout out to coaches, teammates, sponsors, anything like that, man. The camera's all yours.
Yeah. So Mississippi Sports Medicine, that's my home away from home. That's where all the nursing happens. That's where the bill payer happens. They've been such a big supporter over the years, and you know, my injuries and my surgeries and stuff. They're the A1 in my book. So definitely hats off to Mississippi Sports Medicine. The winning smile. My dentist, I always gotta have that winning smile.
Yeah.
The money man, huge supporter. Mark, he's just a big fan of the game. Like, he just enjoys MMA, and he's one of those guys like, man, I like what you do. Let me help. So he's a huge supporter. My wife, massage therapist. She's a massage therapist. She has her own practice here locally, here in Ridgeland. Tapper Insurance. Hard to beat the insurance deals that he has. He's everything's local. I'm all about local businesses and supporting them. Noggins, haircuts. They're on all. I'm big on natural products and whole foods and things like that. And so they're top of the lines when it comes to Aveda products and things like that. I know Birdsong Construction. They're huge. Aaron Bish, he's been with me a long time. A lot of I just want to say most of my sponsors they've stuck with me ups and downs, like, and it just kind of made me realize, this is totally off subject, but it just made me realize that you just have to enjoy the journey. When I met Michael Chandler, we were at a fight for LFA, and I met him, and he was super encouraging, you know, as is his Instagram, and he was just talking to me, and one thing he said was like, you know, don't necessarily just count the wins and losses all the time. Yeah, sure, we all want to win, but like, enjoy the journey of it all. Like, enjoy the friends you make, the podcast you're on, like all those types of things. Like, yes, winning matters, and I don't play Monopoly because it's hard to like establish a true winner. You know, I like winning, but don't focus so much on that you miss the journey of it all. Like, all the ups and downs, and like, you look back and like, you know, like when I had one of my surgeries, I was like, I let that doubt kind of creep in, and it was like, I don't know if, like, no, get out. Like, and now I look back and like, that was a moment where I could have been like, nah, I think I'm done with it. You know, I've had my run, but no, enjoy that journey, and like, keep going. Don't ever stop, even if it's not, you know, like the dynamics of it might change in what you're doing, but still, like, make sure you're enjoying that journey. And my sponsors, they've been with me through this journey, and I'm so thankful for that, more than I can ever say, because it's tough on a fighter in fight camps. So
I like to finish the show with a couple fun questions. I've got these things called pod decks, essentially just random questions, man. I'll pull one out here.
I'm terrible at these.
Hopefully it's not a flop. We'll see what this one says, man. This says, what book belongs on everyone's shelf?
Can't Hurt Me.
Can't Hurt
by
Me.
David Goggins.
Yes.
Read it twice. You that shows you that you can overcome anything. Like the excuses you have are just not good enough. Like we don't have to all be the best at something, but we do need to be our best. So definitely Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins.
His story is unbelievable, man.
And I continue to listen to it. Yeah, it's just awesome.
Yeah, I'm a music guy, so I love to ask the question, like, what's a favorite type of music for you? Or do you have a favorite band that you like to listen to?
I'm always brought back to Kings of Leon. One of my good friends. He was and former roommates. So I actually lost him to cancer. He lost a battle with cancer. He was one of my first teammates he was one of the older guys at the gym that I was referring to earlier, and we ended up being roommates and just became the best of friends. And just one of the first kind of music that I wasn't otherwise listening to at the time, which this is 10, 12 years ago, was Kings of Leon. So every time I listen to Kings of Leon, it always brings me back to just a memory of him. And I remember him driving me to the shows and things like that, and he had that on in the background. So Kings of Leon is always, which I'm open. I can literally, depending on the day, one day I might be Chris Stapleton, one day I might be Lil Wayne. I'm all over the place. but when it comes to something that just puts a memory in my head, it's always Kings of Leon, just because that reminds me of my former team or of my teammate. And I saw him fight his greatest battle with cancer. And just anytime, I just want to say that anytime I ever point up in my pictures after the fight, before the fight, that's always pointing up to him as a paying homage to him and his memory.
Awesome. Yeah, Kings of Leon, man, such a great band. I used to work in the music business and saw them in the early days on the Molly Chambers tour, like less than 100 people in this venue. They actually opened up for the band Jet, if you remember those guys. So both those guys playing at a venue with like 90 people maybe, and it was probably one of the best concerts I've ever been to, man. So
they're awesome. They have a new album coming out here soon, I think. Yeah,
it's out and it is good, man.
I've heard a couple songs on, but okay, yeah.
It's more chill than the rest. Like it's definitely not as rockerish as the previous ones, but it's super good though.
Yeah, I'll have to finish listening to it because I've only heard a couple songs off of it. I think my Pandora knows and just plays anytime new music comes out, it just plays it.
Yeah. Awesome, man. James, such an honor to have you on my show, man. Thank you for sharing your story, man. And I'm excited to see you fight today, since this show drops on March 27th, man, against Wesley Golden, Empire FC 10. It's going to be an awesome fight. Excited to see that hand raise. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for everything you're doing for the sport. Hats off to you. Thank you. It means a lot to us.
Thank you so much for watching the show today. I appreciate it. If you could, please leave a rating and review on our Apple podcast. The link is down below. That helps us get our message out, get the show out, helps us get ranked out there on the Apple podcast. Also, leave a comment below, man. I'd love to know what part of this show made the most impact on you. I respond to every comment on there. And please share this video, whether you're watching on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Please share it out. We want to make sure that we impact as many people as we can with the guests that come on my show and highlight those guests and what they've got going on, and they're changing the world. So thank you so much for the time. So appreciate it. Have an awesome day.